Well, good Friday morning, Mid-Michigan. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro here with your Halloween forecast update, and we want to wish you a happy Halloween as well. Definitely the day that everyone has been looking forward to throughout the week here so far. And as we go forward through this Friday and this Halloween, really our conditions are still holding on pretty well in the forecast. We do generally have a quiet forecast for you as well. First, I do want to take a look at the First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. So throughout the morning, we've had some lake effect rain showers that have mainly been on the west side of the state, and any of that lake effect today is still largely expected to be on the west side of the state, even during the afternoon and the evening. We'll go ahead and zoom in just a little bit closer, though, into a few of our northern spots. So up towards Houghton Lake, we do have just a little bit of rain that's intermittently moving through there. This lake effect pattern is what's going to hold on throughout the daytime today, because we do have a northwesterly wind taking over. So with that wind taking over for today, we are expecting just a few of these showers to occasionally sort of brush right into mid-Michigan. Other than that, though, this will be a mostly dry day for our area as a whole. If you're outside of the Houghton Lake area, in fact, I think you do pretty much have a completely dry day ahead of you as well. So let's take a look at the First Alert hour by hour here as we go forward towards noon today. Notice at noon, we still have some dry weather here across our area, but more of that cloud coverage starting to build up. So we are expecting some more lake effect clouds for this Halloween. Even as we go towards 3 this afternoon, there we are with more of that cloud coverage. And you see on the west side of the state, closer to Reed City and Cadillac, there are just a few showers there that are heading in our direction. So again, that's what we'll be on the lookout for during the afternoon today, but we are far from a wash for this Halloween. Again, I do think most of us will still have completely dry weather, especially for trick-or-treating this upcoming evening. This right here on your screen is even at 6 o'clock this evening too. Still pretty much just the same pattern, as the northwest wind is still holding on. So as we take a look at this trick-or-treating forecast, starting at about 6 o'clock this evening, should be about 48 degrees for many of us across our area, and then temperatures will be falling somewhat quickly throughout the 40s as we go during the evening here. So with these temperatures falling during the evening, just something to keep in mind that it will start to cool down somewhat quick, especially with that northwest wind gusting to 25 miles per hour, especially some of those wind chills dropping down to the upper 30s if you're going to be out a little bit later for trick-or-treating as well. But I will say, even some of our northern areas, places like Houghton Lake, Rose City, West Branch, Hale, and Whittemore, your temperatures and even your wind chills are actually likely to fall into the upper 30s, possibly even as early as 7 o'clock this evening as well. These temperatures, though, that we have for today are actually somewhat typical for this time of year. Our average high today is 53. We're calling for a high of 52 for this afternoon as well. And that is one thing I do want you to keep in mind for this Halloween. Even though it's not exactly the 60s or the 70s, these temperatures in the 50s and then 40s for the evening are actually right where we should be for the end of October. So this, at least by the book, is technically just a very average Halloween with these weather conditions. And it's definitely better than the windy weather, the very windy weather we had last year, and then the snow from 2 years ago as well. Kind of like St. Patrick's Day. This is at a transitional time of year. So as we know with St. Patrick's Day too, the weather conditions can sometimes kind of be all over the place. We've had some warm Halloweens as well as St. Patrick's Days, and we've had some cold ones too. But for today, again, pretty much an average Halloween ahead of us with these temperatures and these weather conditions. In fact, I do want to show you here the averages, or rather the extremes rather, for Halloween that we have in the record book. So you can see here, warmest Halloween we've had in the Great Lakes Bay region was 79 degrees. That was in 1933, and then 19 was the coldest in 1925. So those records have been around for a while. The rainiest Halloween was actually in 2013, so somewhat more recently, just over an inch of rainfall. And then our snowiest Halloween was, of course, 2 years ago in 2023, where we officially recorded a half of an inch of snow at MBS Airport. It was just a trace of snow at Bishop Airport in Flint, but the record before that was 0. So it was pretty easy for us to break that record 2 years ago. But we are definitely going to be far from that scenario as we go into this upcoming evening. Though we will have some lows tonight just above freezing at about 34 or 35 degrees. So still colder as we go into tonight especially, but for this Halloween, again, these are just some pretty typical fall conditions that we have ahead of us here in the forecast. Now, this is also the start of playoff football for all of our high school teams across Mid-Michigan. It's the district semifinals, and then we are also tracking what will be the first weekend of November as well. We'll go over some of those football forecasts, and we'll also go over your weekend forecast too, coming up right after this break. Alrighty, let's bring you right back in here to this First Alert forecast. We are tracking some high school football games coming up for the evening too, as this is officially the start of the high school football playoff season. So district semifinals coming up for the upcoming evening. Now for these games, fortunately, we actually do have some quiet weather as well. It's going to be somewhat similar to that trick-or-treating forecast. Our game of the week, voted on by all of you, this is Michigan Lutheran Seminary visiting Nouvelle Catholic Central. So game right here in Saginaw. That game is expected to kick off at about 48 degrees this evening at 7, and then just falling down to about 46 towards 9 o'clock. Mostly cloudy sky, but this is a game that I do think is going to be dry. So again, like trick-or-treating, not really too concerned about the wet weather for the upcoming evening. However, it is going to be on the cooler side as we go into this upcoming evening. So just make sure you have a few of those extra layers with you. Now, another game we have coming up this evening, we have Clare visiting Swan Valley. So that game also right near Saginaw here. We expect very similar temps, also about 48 degrees at kickoff at 7. And then we have Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart visiting Beale City, so over in Isabella County. That game expected to kick off at about 46 degrees. Now, with this being towards central Michigan, I wouldn't rule out at least a very stray, brief sprinkle, more so towards the start of the game around 7 o'clock. Outside of that, though, like all of our other games, I would expect dry weather, just these cool conditions that settle in for the evening, especially with that northwesterly breeze. Beale City, also worth highlighting, undefeated 9-0 right now, so definitely a cool matchup that we have coming up for the evening. Variety of places here across mid-Michigan. So going south, we also have Lake Fenton visiting Goodrich. In Goodrich, about 47 degrees at that kickoff at 7, and a mostly cloudy sky and still holding on to that same northwest breeze. Goodrich also undefeated, 9-0. And then we have Bendel visiting Millington. That game should also be at about 47 degrees. And then notice those temps dropping down to about 44, even by 8 o'clock. I'd say 44, maybe even 43 towards 9 o'clock this evening too. So really the theme with these games for the upcoming evening is going to be cool weather, but at least we are tracking some drier weather and overall just some quiet, typical late October conditions are ahead of us. As we go into the weekend, so November kicking off this weekend, should be a pretty quiet start for November as well. So we just have that stray lake effect chance for tomorrow, pretty much just a repeat of that lake effect chance for today, as we still have the northwest wind. However, the northwest wind tomorrow will be lighter, only about 5 miles per hour. So that's actually one great bonus from the weekend here, is that we are going to see these breezy conditions of the last few days going away. And on Sunday, a southwesterly wind at just 5 to 10 miles per hour. So that'll take us back up to about 51 on Sunday with a partly cloudy sky. I know Halloween is today, but maybe if you were already planning to take the Halloween decorations down, maybe if you're an early Christmas decorator too, well, this weekend it does actually have some pretty cooperative weather outdoors as it pertains to any outdoor decorations that you might have. But for this weekend, again, pretty quiet as a whole, just a bit cooler tomorrow with that high of 47 coming in, and we are expecting lows right down to about freezing by Sunday morning. So just something to keep in mind if you have any early Sunday morning plans, maybe going to church on Sunday morning too. It is just going to be a cold start to the day. Take a look at the time here in the graphic too between Saturday and Sunday. So notice those Sunday times all 1 hour earlier. This weekend we do have the time change, so tomorrow night we'll be falling back 1 hour. So with that new sunrise coming in for us and new sunset, those times are going to be changing up for us just a little bit here. I will say in this graphic, ignore the top line there for today. That's actually from a couple of days ago. But for daylight saving time coming to an end, 7:12 a.m. will be the new sunrise on Sunday morning, and then 5:25, that's the new sunset on Sunday evening. So we have that fall back. That's with daylight saving time coming to an end. So we are going back to standard time for the upcoming, over this upcoming weekend, and we'll be holding on to that standard time all the way until March of next year. So the big time change ahead of us for the weekend. It is always that nice benefit that during the fall back we do gain that extra hour of sleep. Even though it is only for Saturday night, at least we do get a little bit of an added bonus for that too as we go into the weekend. As we go into next week as well, we are tracking just a couple of chances for some scattered showers. Now, I will say the pattern for next week, this has still been somewhat up in the air for us here. We're seeing just a few small shifts in that pattern, but generally right now, it's looking like it's trying to lock in on a chance of scattered rain on Monday, and then another chance of scattered rain on Wednesday. And with that system Wednesday, we could have some cooler air following that up, only a high of 50 on Thursday, but also with that cooler air, that'll also be a northwest breeze, so could have a few scattered lake effect rain showers on Thursday following up that system. So as far as the rain chances go for next week, Monday and Wednesday, those do, at least right now, appear to be relatively better chances of rain than what we've seen throughout this week so far. I know we are already past the end of the growing season, and even the harvest is has been largely getting along here too throughout the fall. Really at this point, the rainfall, we could still use some. It definitely is very dry out there still. Monday and Wednesday would be the best days for rain if you have been hoping for some rainfall here. But overall, again, just pretty quiet for this Halloween and pretty quiet for the first weekend of November too. So if you do have any plans here for today and for the weekend and you're seeing that spotty rain chance, really I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think our big takeaway here is to not be too concerned about rain, more so just be prepared for those brisk conditions this upcoming evening. For the evening too, with trick-or-treaters and their costumes, I don't exactly think that a heavy winter jacket is necessary. Definitely, again, that's up to your own discretion, but I think would be totally fine to just have a heavy sweater, maybe a couple of those layers underneath those costumes. I know that's always one of the big things at this time of year too, with the costumes and the cool weather, is trying to not cover up those costumes, especially as some people have been really working for those costumes here over the last couple of weeks. So again, I think just a few layers underneath the costumes will be all right, but overall these conditions shaping up pretty nicely and just pretty typical for the end of October as we go through this Halloween day today. But that's all we have for this morning update here. Meteorologist Stone Schaefer will have another update coming up for you at 2 o'clock this afternoon. In the meantime, though, we do hope that you have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful Halloween, and we hope that you have a safe Halloween, especially if you're going out trick-or-treating later on this evening. And I'll show you this here, too, the QR code for the TV5 First Alert Weather app. It's a free app that you can download in the App Store and on Google Play. There's a live radar in the app, so if you're in an area like Houghton Lake or West Branch or Clare this evening and you maybe wanted to give the radar a quick check, you can do that right there in the app. So I'll leave you with that. Again, meteorologist Stone Schaefer coming up later today at 2 p.m.